That was a good one.
Oh my goodness. All right, welcome in, guys. Welcome back to Two Guys and a Bard. We have a fantastic show for you guys tonight. Obviously, we'll be hitting the hot topic of New World, but we also have our awesome guest on, Xetnal, in two forms, right? Z and X, which I believe are pronounced the same. But
Yes.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Xetnal? Give a little shout out to your links and what you do.
What's up, guys? My name is Xetnal. I've been streaming for about a year and a half. I actually started on my English channel with an X, but recently decided to actually start my Spanish channel with a Z, just because it's easier for the Spanish people to actually say Zednal, because they fucking keep saying like Chednal, something like that in Spanish. It's so weird. But yeah, I mostly stream MMOs. I actually joined the Ashes of Creation community around July, maybe June last year. And yeah, just super glad to be here, guys.
All right, awesome. And why don't we do our usual intro and go around and what is everyone drinking? And we'll start with Thane tonight.
All right, so we're going a little light. We're sticking to the beer though. I've got a light and crisp Kolsch style ale. It's the KSA from Fort Point Brewing.
All right, moving right on to Super.
Straight from the melting ice caps.
Ooh.
Water.
You know that doesn't work as well when you're not living in Colorado, right?
Soon.
Soon, yeah.
Soon TM, yep.
All right. And Xetnal, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking some beautiful wine, Misiones de Rengo, Chileno, bitch.
Oh my goodness.
It's pretty good, man.
So when you come to the US for some Ashes Con or Twitch Con or something like that, I'm gonna need you to bring me a couple bottles of Chilean stuff.
Of course, my pleasure. Only if you have some of that nice whiskey, dude.
Oh yeah, we can make some trades. I'll be bringing a bunch to PAX West for sure. So anyone that's out there, I might do a giveaway or two for anyone that's going to be out there, and then definitely going to be hooking up anyone on the Ashes staff that would like a bottle of our bourbon or rye. But yeah, I am actually drinking a gin and tonic tonight. I've just been on this kick. I got the stuff for it. I blame Thane, but it's also delicious. So,
dude, like when you get on gin and tonic, can we talk about something for a second that has nothing to do with any MMOs, as we often do?
I mean, that's par for the course.
This is weird. Does anyone else experience this where like you're in the mood? So like for Bardic's in the mood for a gin and tonic, and he has a gin and tonic. He will now drink gin and tonics for like a long time until he burns himself out on it. And then it'll be like another year and a half before he ever picks up gin.
No, for me, it's only summer. Like I do it a lot in summer. It's
okay.
seasonal drinking for me.
Got it.
I do what you're talking about. Like whiskey sour was like, it's still my go-to right now, but it's literally like gone through beer, other whiskey drinks, and like now I've landed on whiskey sour. And like that's been my drink for like I think the longest any drink has been my drink. So I haven't been burnt out yet, but it will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that. Like I think I'm coming down off of beer, and I think I'm gonna actually start getting like I want to go into like tequila mezcal again. I feel like this is gonna be a fall of tequila and mezcal. It's gonna be a lot of like Paloma margarita, ready, fire, aim type stuff.
Cool, dude.
So we've already had the comment in chat, and I'm going to go straight to our guest here. Beards. You've got a glorious beard. You guys have all seen me without a beard. I now have grown in a nice thick beard. Super's beard is on point, and obviously we have someone lacking here, but we won't name names.
We get to make fun of Fane tonight.
Okay, but first of all, I told you guys I still challenge Super and Bardic and anyone else is interested to a beard off. We shave and then we just go.
No.
And literally every week we can measure it.
No, you can.
This is what I want to know. Xetnal, how long have you had a beard? What are your thoughts? Like, would you ever shave it? Like you've got the man bun as well. I used to have that, but I didn't have the full beard. And what's your beard care regimen? Like, what do you do?
Oh, so dude, I suck at beard treatment. Like I don't give a beard, bro. Like the most I've done it's like put some on like conditioner, maybe sometimes if I remember. But yeah, no, I've had this beard for quite a long time. I do trim it. Because I did it like dude, the other day I actually dreamed that I had it like just like one single fucking hair going down here. And it was weird. I don't know what my dream was telling me, but It's just like, don't cut your beard, dude. And also, like, my secret is like, I don't have a fucking chin. Like, dude, it's terrible. it's I look weird.
I
So yeah.
So I don't know if you guys can tell this, but I have a butt chin. Pretty good butt chin. I got made fun of it
Nice.
for when I was a kid, which now I'm told it's super handsome and it's a good thing to have, apparently. But I was made fun of for having a butt chin. So as soon as I was able to grow a beard, like I've never had a beard this big, but I was like, you know what? We'll just cover that up a little bit.
Cover
Hey,
the butt
beard-
with a little hair. Nice.
Beards are always in, man. They're always in.
All right. So
Never-
what would
they
it
never go out.
take for each of you to shave your beard?
I'll
1,000
go first because
subscriber
it's 1,000 subscribers. Okay.
maybe.
All right.
What about you, Fame?
My girlfriend nagging me, obviously, is what it takes for me to shave my beard. As soon as she nags me, I'm just like, okay, honey.
I mean, how about for charity? If we did a big charity stream with a pretty big set goal.
Listen,
if we did a charity
you can't
stream,
do that to me because you can't put me in a position to where I have to say fuck whatever charity we're doing.
okay, so
right?
That's why I'm saying this. That's why I'm saying this.
You can't guilt me into. I won't be there. You can't guilt me into it.
surprise charity stream.
All right, how about you, Xetnal? Yeah, but how about you? Would you shave it for, like, say, I don't know. I mean, you know, the smaller the streamer you are, the less you set your goals. But say, like, right now, if you raise like $5,000 for your favorite charity, would that be a beard shaving opportunity for you, Xetnal?
$5,000 for my yeah, that could be it. I was thinking of starting with the hair, right? Like, I could like shave my hair.
You would rather do the hair? Interesting.
Yeah, I don't give a damn
Same.
about my hair up here.
That's same.
Same.
But anyway, we've started with enough tangents. As per usual with this show, we talk about everything. But I would like to ask you, Xetnal. So you're focused on the Spanish side of streaming, right? And that's a recent change for you. What is your thought process behind that? What do you think your audience is? Just give us a rundown of like how you ended up with this decision.
What happened, basically. Yeah, so, okay. So this is a weird topic for me because it was a little bit hard for me at first. I did see like a big rise on my English stream, and I was happy about it for sure. And it was weird for me because my first English is language. I mean, it's Spanish. My first language is Spanish, as you can see.
Chilean Spanish, which is fucked
Chilean
up.
Spanish,
I spent 4 months in Chile.
Yeah.
Like I didn't understand any other Spanish when I got back.
No, brother, it's fucked up, man. So I was having this issue when like my streams were slowly decaying, in my opinion, and this is all mental, right? And I just needed like a change. I was like, I love streaming. I love creating content. I love like meeting new people, especially from around the world, right? And I was like, okay, I think I need a change. I also have like a big-ish group of content creator friends that are from Chile and Mexico and several like Latin countries. And they were like saying to me like, yo, you should start your Spanish channel. Like everybody knows you here in our community. It's like, it's going to be easy for you. And after like thinking it for a long time, I decided to start with the 2 channels, right? So I was gonna do like 2 days on English, 2 days on Spanish, and I did that for a couple of weeks. I was just exhausted, and like my mind was fucking weird because I had to create content for 2 things. I wasn't creating daily content for TikTok, and it was just weird. So I just decided to like take a break because my English channel was actually like very low viewership at this point, right? Not to say that that's like necessarily like super bad thing, because the people that are with me still, they're fucking like, they're great. Like I still have that community and they're great, and I know there's some on the chat right here, but I just needed like a big change. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a break for the English channel. It's not that I want to kill it or anything, right? I'm gonna take a break. And I started like focusing on the Spanish channel. And if I can explain myself like 90%, maybe 100% sometimes with my ideas in English, on Spanish I can do like 120%. Like, you know, like I can actually go balls deep. And on the other side, I was like, bro, there's like a big niche, like uncharted market here about MMOs, especially on this like the Spanish content creators. They're not very much into that. And like all my friends that do create content in Spanish are like, man, but like, maybe my audience is not really into MMOs. And I was like, no, man, you know what? You got to create that audience. I want to like, because this started when Ashes of Creation like wouldn't have Latin American servers. And I was like, maybe there's no interest. Why is there no interest? Like, let me fucking create that interest. And that like settled me like, okay, let me just like go on with my Spanish channel. And we've been having lots of fun, dude. I mean, obviously I'm a little bit smaller right now. We're like 200 something followers. But it's been going super fast. Like I've only been on this channel for like what, a month and a half, something like that. But it's been fun. Less competition, as I was talking to Fane earlier. Like now I can like stream New World, and it's not like I'm not gonna be buried deep between like the millions of English streamers, but I'm like pretty middle ground on Spanish, you know.
And yeah, I mean, it's just interesting when you look at things because discoverability and growth is huge, and retention. But what I did hear out of your comment there was, hey, Fane, you got some competition on TikTok.
Yeah, I definitely, clearly I have some competition on TikTok, but don't worry. This is a totally one-up story. Somebody, and I know it's somebody that comes in on the regular because they get this joke, and I think it might be Super. Honestly, I'm like 55% chance Super.
Someone I don't have TikTok.
No, it's on TikTok. It's on TikTok.
Oh.
I've clearly given up on TikTok with the 0 posts. But somebody did make a account on Twitch named OnlyFans, and I honestly think that it's Super. I
would troll you to your face, and you would know it was me.
Super wife's out of town. Nobody's judging you, dude. I get it. You know, I'm a good-looking guy.
Listen. Beardless Fane over here is just trying to turn it back around on me. Tonight is the night that you get destroyed. All right, fuck off.
So here's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna start something similar, and then I'm gonna go onto a Persian dating app and just download all the photos and just throw these up on the OnlyFans, and then troll Fane with this when it blows up and it has more fans and more money than his Twitch stream.
You know what? Okay, I'll tell you what.
I'll subscribe.
If you do that, I just want 20%.
20%, just 20%.
That's it. That's all I want. This is affiliate marketing. If you and cultural appropriation, but affiliate marketing.
Cultural appropriation. Well, Bard already insulted an entire culture tonight.
Yeah,
so let's get the Persians.
I've already pissed off your fans, Xetnal. They're mad at me.
No.
Yeah.
He's fucked up.
Yeah. All right, so enough tangents now. We ready to get into the main topic of the night? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
100%. Let's go.
And the big one, right? What everyone's been playing, the big beta, New World.
All right. So first of all, let's make some real quick shots across the bow. Like, let's just get some rapid fire answers here. Number one. Well, first of all, I want to know who played the test last time. Who played the test? All right, everyone played it like way back then. So compared to a year ago, the current beta on a scale of 1 to 10, really quickly, Bardic.
1 to 10 improvement or where it could be?
Improvement.
I would say like a 9.
9.
It's improved a huge amount.
8.
Xetnal.
7 or 8. Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to come back at it 1 to 10 as an overall game, and we're going to go in reverse order. Xetnal, go.
6.
As an overall game. 6.
Yeah.
Super.
I'm going to keep it around 8.
8. Bard.
With the current gameplay loop, not seeing the end game at all. I just want to preference or make sure that's clear because we have not seen the end game play loop. So I don't know. Like right now, my enjoyment factor is like an 8.5. It's like I am loving it. It's so much fun just running around, just like, oh, something over here. Oh, something over here. My ADD is going off. So I'd go like an 8.5 in terms of overall enjoyment and where I think the game could be, I guess.
And I agree with that. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't have issues personally with judging games before I see the end game because most people are going to straight up fall off before they hit that end game. That's just the nature of MMOs, right?
Yeah.
So the retention that you have from levels 1 to 35 is super important, like really important.
So I do have a question. I mean, Xetnal, you would just ask, like, am I an asshole? Like, no, absolutely not. Like, that's your own personal rating. But I would be curious to hear, because you were saying 7 or 8 for improvement, but then like a 6 overall. So I'd like to hear kind of the the idea behind that?
So maybe I was a little bit too harsh. Maybe a 7, I would say. I don't know. It feels so it's good, right? It's Amazon Game Studios, like it's a AAA company, like very nice ambience. Kind of like a good. Yeah, I know.
We'll
Hey,
we'll come back to the topic of AAA company. We'll talk
all
about
right.
that. in a
I mean,
second.
it owns 30% of the internet. It is AAA. If it's shitty, it's another thing.
We're literally
Uh,
streaming on their website right now.
Yeah, like, what's up? What's up, boss? Like,
Jeff, I'm glad you made it back from space. Please don't ban me.
yeah, right. No, but so I think it's an overall pretty nice game. I do think it's lacking in several things, like optimization is not really good.
Mhm.
In most areas, like I don't know if you guys notice, like when you fall off like certain ledges, it's like for certain parts. Those are the little things. I do think the quests suck gigantic.
Yes.
Whatever. I think they really need inspiration. It's like a really good foundation as a game, but I feel like it needs to be like a little bit more inspired, right? Like, why don't they add orcs, like goblins? Where are my trolls? Like, where am I? Like there's so many things that I think they could improve on that they haven't, which is okay. Like it's okay. Like the improvement from like last year, it's massive because last year sucked.
Last year was bad.
It was super bad. I do think we got a good I don't know. I don't feel like it's ready. I feel like it still has like placeholder things, like the enemies, like the quests. I don't know, things like that. That's what I'm thinking. It's lacking. Given I haven't gone into the end game, which is why I kind of like give you a complete review of the game. Obviously, I still haven't gone to any expeditions, although I'm pretty close. But
We
like for
just did
example,
our
I'm
first
hitting.
earlier.
Oh, that's nice. I'm hitting quest bugs, like when you have to create that staff,
Mhm.
the asset. I couldn't create it for whatever
Really?
reason. I restarted it. I relogged. I couldn't do it. So things like that. Of
Huh.
course, it's a beta. Like, oh, sure,
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
marketing beta,
a
not a
beta with a
development
month
beta, but
left.
whatever. Yeah, like it's a marketing beta. Sure. Hopefully, those 3 weeks that they have will improve on like stupid things like that. If they don't, I'm keeping the 6. But if they do, I'm keeping the 7. I feel like there's much room for improvement. Like no mounts. I feel like they could add them.
Well, and
Yeah.
they have talked
Why-
about mounts as something
Why
being
can't we
in the
swim?
future. Yeah, the swimming thing,
Fuck,
like
that's weird.
I was just streaming into the Virtue Discord earlier, and Grumpy Guy was watching me, and he was like, "Wait, was that you just swimming?" I'm like, "No, that was me drowning."
Yeah. And so
We're
I
a
do.
sailor on a boat, right?
I want to
We're
say
a
something.
sailor on a boat.
I want to say something here, and I don't know if this is true, but this was like when I saw the no swimming, this is where my mind went. And if you watch the introductory cinematic of you like going through this maelstrom into this other world, I think there is actually a significance to not being able to swim. There's also a reason that there are boats just on dry land all over the place. Like literally, you're just running down the road, and it's like a massive boat just like sitting there. And you're like, how the fuck did that get here? And so I don't know this for sure. This is just kind of where my mind went of like, there might be a reason for this. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. What I will say is, I agree. The quests suck. Like they're just rinse and repeat over and over and over
How
again.
many times did you guys kill 3 wolves and then skin it for whatever rare material?
Bro,
you
and
did, right?
they need to up that respawn rate, bro. I wanted to kill myself the other day trying to fucking skin those wolves.
And so that to me, but I think that's also the fact that this game is all about the end game. I don't think it's about leveling up as much or doing these repeatable quests. I think it comes down to when you're doing these repeatable quests, you're doing it for a reason, which is to fight back against your territory getting destabilized. And it comes into this much bigger interconnected like faction war. And we just haven't gotten there yet. But as we all know, if like you need to make the leveling up as good as the rest of the game to catch people and hook them.
Well, and I feel like the early stages of questing are exactly what you guys are saying. It's repetitive, it's boring. But what I find, it's not that the quests themselves are enjoyable, it's the time spent going to accomplish the quest is what's enjoyable. The gathering. Mainly the gathering. I mean, that's what it really boils down to. The exploration. I wish there are some areas, the temple areas where you have to go to like the ruin areas where you have to go, and sometimes one of the chests is hidden like off behind a rock or something like that. Like like that kind of stuff to help incentivize exploration to where you're walking through Bard. I was watching a stream earlier and we were doing the expeditions like, hey, did we check that corner over there? And you went over there
Yeah.
and there was like an elite cache over there. And it's like stuff like that is really cool and promotes that exploration. And when you have a massive world like New World and also Ashes, take note, you need to have those things implemented
Mm-hmm.
or else the world is too big for just arbitrary reasons. And so for me, even though the quest, like the actual quest itself is annoying, I don't find myself being annoyed while playing. And that's just now. I mean, I'm 25 right now, so like I don't know if that's gonna like just progressively get worse as time goes on. I would assume so, especially if you have like an alt or something like that. Not that you really need to in this game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it the world itself is what's the most enjoyable part. The crafting system, all of that stuff. So for me, the quest, yes,
Yeah.
it would be nice if they were better, absolutely. But I feel like once you hit the like closing the rifts and doing the expeditions, quests just don't really
Yeah.
even matter
Well,
anymore.
and that's the interesting thing, right? Is like you have to be in a certain state of mind, and it's not go here and do this quest. It's go here and discover everything along the way and gather everything you can along the way because it's all useful. And I mean, and so like, and that's what I find myself doing. I'm literally like, okay, I'm going here to do this quest, but as I'm going there, I'm mining this stuff and all this other stuff. What I will say is a little frustrating is when you're out there doing all these quests, you're doing a big loop and you find all these gatherables and you just end up overweight and you're just like, it's such a long run back.
It's so long. And so I agree that I think that the journey here is more important than the destination in terms of questing. We had mentioned Mound slightly, and I don't want to brush over that because it's a really key topic.
Yeah.
I think the way that they've tuned this, and this is my personal feeling, as we were talking about this yesterday, I feel like the map is too small to allow mounts,
Yet.
but your character
Yes,
moves like
No,
in
that's
this
correct.
weird middle ground right now, right? Where I feel like I'm not quite at a run, but I'm not really at a walk. And so we're in this middle speed where a mount would make the world feel just way too small. Instantly, it would make it feel way too small. But running from point A to point B, it's so far that it feels worse. And then comparing this to kind of Ashes, which we've all been playing, I feel like even in Ashes, it's bigger and it takes longer to get to a place. It doesn't feel as tedious as this does to me. I feel like if I'm just moving from point A to point B, it feels extremely tedious if I'm not gathering along the way. So if I see my pack at 199.9 and I'm like, I'm not picking up any more flint, it's just a real grind to move around.
I think it's partly because we don't have like a sprint either, you know? Like I wish we could like at least sprint with like with double tapping W or something.
Yeah.
Well,
let's do it like Final Fantasy where like it's just like a little speed buff for like a second. Not like Ashes where it's like basically infinite.
It can work off your stamina, right? Like you're sprinting.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
And that's the thing about it, right? Is they used to have a sprint, and people complained that it was still too slow, so they just made it perma sprint. But this movement speed isn't really perma sprint. Like you don't have a normal walking speed. It just feels a weird mix of in between. But the other reason,
everywhere.
yeah, I think the other reason is giving you a resource management to do while you're just running. Gives you your mind something to be active about. So if you're managing a stamina bar or in Ashes right now, you're managing that mount sprint, right? You're like sitting there watching it cool down while you're looking around. And then when you're like, okay, it's up, hit it again. So I think it's that idea of like, even if you're just like going from point A to point B, you need a gameplay loop that keeps your mind engaged, keeps you from realizing, I'm playing a video game right now and I've got 3 other monitors with things going on and I'm distracted suddenly and I realize I'm not in a game. It's no, keep your mind engaged and in the game.
Well, and I think for me, it's keeping an eye out on the tracker at the top of the screen, keeping like keeping an eye out for any resources that might be around. Like, oh shit, Iron Node, I need to go get that so I can use it all instantaneously and just be like, where the hell did all that go? But and I think Xetnal, you had chimed in on the world size part. We don't have the full world, right?
It was data mined, so it was released. Fane, do you know where that is on our Discord? I think Desi
I can find it. I can find it and send it to you so you can bring it up. Fane working, guys.
I just
Please
say
entertain
it gets bigger because, well, like when you open your map, you can see like the road
Yeah.
north.
Yeah.
And that's what I've read at some point, that the world is gonna get bigger.
I remember hearing that in preview too, because the map from preview to now is the same, correct?
Yeah,
It-
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
and I remember hearing that in preview that at some point it was said that it was like actually supposed to extend either more north, or that in the northern section it was supposed to kind of like expand out in all directions a little bit.
Mhm.
Would be better because strategically, if you just go north, then the factions that control the north are gonna have like a huge advantage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well-
I would like them to add it, like, I mean, to expand it to the sides as well.
Here's my thing on mounts. So I would be okay with the run speed we have right now, with a stamina that makes you run, 20% or 30% faster than you are now. My issue with mounts is you either need fast travel or you need mounts, not both. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
too easy to respond to stuff.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You do have a good point there.
And I don't dislike the current fast travel system. You really have to, like, it's a game in your mind of min-maxing of how much Azoth you're going to use, when you're going to fast travel.
Yeah.
And if, like, it feels really good when you like figure out this like perfect little route to go where you're going to, head over here, get all your resources, then you're going to teleport back to your location, then fast travel to where the quest is. It's like, oh, it's a mini game within itself.
True. Yeah, no, I guess you're right. I was just thinking that, like today, I was thinking while I was playing that, like, the game would really benefit, especially given the nature of the game, which is like a PvP resource intensive game, resource
Mhm.
like with crafting resources and everything, and we have a weight bar. I think it would really benefit on like a caravan system, like Ashes did.
Yes, I was going to say
Like,
that actually.
Just give us like a fucking, like, a mule that'll, like, instead of 200 or 250, like, can carry like maybe 1,000, but you're always on PvP and then you can attack. That would be great. I feel
Mhm.
like they could really learn that from Ashes,
Or,
I
or
think-
even something like your mule can carry 100 extra pounds, right?
for example. Yeah.
It's a slightly faster mount. It can carry 100 extra pounds, but as soon as you start putting gear into it, you can no longer use it as a mount, and it has to go behind you.
For example, and like, or if not, like, the second you mount it, you're flagged for PvP no matter where you are, right? Although now that it could be abused, maybe you can only like
Yeah.
get on the mount like on a sanctuary. I'm pretty sure they can figure something out.
How
just to make it more
about just
engaging.
like a standard caravan where you pay like 10 gold and you get in this caravan that goes decently fast, and it takes your character across, and so it's just an autopilot. You can go take care of something else. It's just to get
Can it be
across the
attacked?
map. What was that?
So
Can it be attacked?
Not in this system. That would be a separate like caravan system on its own, right?
Right.
So
I
it'd be
just
a,
think, like,
it would be a flight path. Yeah,
Flight path.
Yeah.
but
Basically.
on the
But
ground. Yep.
there's no flight here, so yeah. And I think
No
there's no
swimming
flight
either,
for
so
a
it's not
reason.
swimming path.
They said I think there's some kind of lore reason that's like pushing everything down, and
Have you noticed how we jump? Like, there's way too much gravity. Like, way too much gravity.
and,
Like, the
and how
characters
we
don't
take
even
like
jump.
0 fall damage after jumping off like a fucking skydiver.
Yeah, it feels like you're on the time capsule of Dragon Ball Z, dude.
Bezos just came back from the moon. We're all going to be floating across the map.
It was like, that was so much more fun. Yeah.
So to direct this conversation a little bit more, what do you guys think New World is doing right? And does that line up with what Ashes has planned?
I'm gonna say something terrible.
No, that's
You ready?
go
You
for
ready?
it. Yes.
I'm locked in.
Combat. It's fucking great on New World. Like, I'm sorry. I've been reading on Reddit, like, people saying like, "Oh, combat sucks. It's like not meaty," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? What game are you playing, dude? It's a great game." And well, I do have this battle on my mind of like whether Ashes would benefit from a combat like that. It's definitely not gonna be. I'm pretty sure Ashes is gonna go on tap target. Like, let's not kid ourselves. It's gonna go to tap target. Maybe a little bit like a cooler tap target, but I think they actually nailed it with the combat. It's more action. It's super skill based, dude.
So what I was gonna say is a month ago when I did the alpha test, the combat did not feel good to me. I don't know what they changed. I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like they changed that much. It just feels way more fluid suddenly. What
It
I know
felt
why.
very clunky back then,
I've
and
been
very
thinking
like I do a thing and stop.
A big thing that changed this time is that because the cooldowns used to be shared between weapons. So if you did your Q with the spear and then you changed to a musket, your Q would still be on cooldown. They changed that actually right now, and they're independent. And also your weapon swapping is a little bit faster than last time. So
Yeah.
that might have made it a little bit more.
So, but I'm also talking about a month ago's alpha, not last year's, not the preview.
Okay.
So yeah, Fanged and I were in that month ago alpha, and they still had made things faster. There was no stagger. The weapon changing was more fluid.
Stagger is a big thing.
And there's something they did, and I can't put my mind, like I cannot put my finger on it, what they did, but it just feels better. It feels more fluid. And I haven't done like basically any PvP yet, but I have done the expedition, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone. I will just say I had so much, like, it hasn't been since the first alpha Ashes weekend, but there was before the NDA, that I've had so much fun. That expedition was so much fun, and before that, it's been years. So, like,
I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Guys.
So
today I did actually a lot of PvP. Of group
and
PvP with my friends.
Yeah, and don't ruin it for yourself. Don't go in with someone who's already done it. And if they do go in with you, be like, let us figure it out for ourselves, because it was way more fun that way. We went in.
We're waiting for each other.
Yeah. Because we had a bunch of people that had done an expedition before us, and they're like, yeah, we'll come in if you need help. We were like, no, we get it that you're the highest level, but no, we want to get in with this crew and get it done ourselves. And we had so much fun just kind of figuring out the little puzzle in there and fighting the boss and all of that stuff.
Nice. I'm excited now.
Yeah, it was cool. It was very cool.
I have a very basic request that I love in New World. And I feel like because it currently, and I don't know if that's going to change, but it's currently not in Ashes, let me chop down whatever fucking tree I want.
It would be nice.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I understand, like, I don't understand because I don't know coding, I don't know game development, but I understand, like, just wanting to have, like, okay, just this tree has the sparkles on it, only this one can be harvested or chopped down, whatever. But the thing about New World logging is that every tree, some you need to get to a certain level,
right?
But every tree, every dead log on the ground, at least that I've come across, can be harvested. That the basic gathering of New World, I think Ashes could.
Yeah, I have two things to say on that. First of all, we are in alpha, so we don't know what their intent is. Maybe every tree will have that. They have said there is not going to be sparklies in the world, right? We have sparklies right now to make it identifiable, but they have said where you're actually going to have to identify the gatherable and know what it looks like to gather it in Ashes. The other thing I have to say is I don't like the strain on the server with that. I don't know what that's going to do with every single object being interactable and destructible. I'm not a programmer either, but I would say, like, the sparklies, I think those are going to be going away for sure. Steven's already said that, like, outright.
Yeah, those won't exist. And it's going to be tough. And I think that, so I'm going to take the opposite side of superhero. I'm going to say I like the fact that only certain things in Ashes are harvestable, because there will be these, like, super rare node like gathering node type situations. And so if you could just harvest everything, I think it would inflate the gathering market and devalue a lot of it, especially compared to these super rare
that can be controlled though.
Yeah, like just make the items like have more requirements on the.
I mean, we'll take it back to something that's. Yeah, we'll take it back to something Super understands. It's like Pokemon cards, right? You have all your bulk. It still has a small value, very minimal value, but it has some value. And then you have your rare shit. It's worth a lot. And that's kind of like.
But it's about the player experience in the side of it.
The rare Pokemon cards, for every X amount of bulk, you have to release a rare Pokemon card. So the more bulk there is, the more rares there are.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that that's fine, because it would honestly be boring to open up a pack of Pokemon cards that was only rares. Like if it was a pack of 2 cards, like the 25th anniversary celebrations packs that are coming out in a couple of months, there's only 4 cards in the pack. So down from the 10 that we normally get. And so yes, it's going to be cool because it's a one-off. They're not going to reprint those. It's going to, it's a super rare thing that's going to happen. But it's the anticipation. It's going through the commons and the uncommons and the trainers, and then going, nothing. Oh, okay, cool. I got a hit.
Just
Like,
speaking to the gambling and addicts and all of
gambling,
us.
right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Gambling targeted towards little kids, right?
Yeah, which is better. I mean,
Which is why all the 30-plus-year-olds are doing it. Yes.
exactly.
But what I was going to say, so like we've talked about things that we think New World is doing pretty well. Things they're not doing well. One of my biggest gripes is resource spawns being in the same spot every time.
Mhm.
And I haven't done the math out to see if there's like a difference in how long it takes for something to respawn, if there's a variable there. But the fact that you know exactly where every single rare resource spawns feels kind of bad. And go ahead.
And that leads to botting, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to work today. I'm going on a jog. I'm going out with somebody. So I set up a macro that I press E every 10 minutes and 22 seconds, knowing that I'm going to just farm this resource to no end. And I think that's
True.
why not everything is going to be harvestable in ashes, and the things will move around and not respawn in the exact same location.
Yes, but I feel like they have an anti-bot system on New World right now. I mean, supposedly.
You can't
And
even
on-
milk a
and on-
cow without getting banned in this game.
and
You
on-
don't have an anti-bot
right.
system.
And on Ashes, like I don't see, like I understand the point, but on Ashes, you're gonna have one active GMs and two, like I'm gonna PK those bots. Like I'm gonna kill those bots, right?
Not if they're not flagged.
But you
in-
can.
in-
PK
Oh, you mean
somebody.
sorry.
In
I
Ashes,
I
was
Ashes
thinking
bots
New
won't
World.
exist
Yeah, I was
because
thinking New
the
World.
things will move around.
My
So
bad.
the New
And
World,
because the
they
bots-
exist.
I mean, if they like imagine everything would spawn at the same place on Ashes, it wouldn't matter because like bots, once there's CM, one there's PKs or bot killers or something. You could
Mhm.
actually like do a program about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the way that the trees and like the gatherables are right now in Ashes of Creation needs a little bit of improvement.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good to need like 30 logs and then have like fucking 3 logs on an area, right? And having like all these trees and only 3 being gatherable, it's kind of weird, For me, it's kind of weird. I feel
the
like they could
tree-
do it.
And the tree
mean-
that ends up being gatherable looks exactly like the
Exactly.
50 others
Mhm.
that you ran.
That's great.
past.
That's awesome.
That's-
though. I
that's
love
great.
that. I think
And-
it's punishing.
Sure, I mean it's cool. It's punishing it, like it forces you to work a little bit more, right? I think having every tree, for example, gatherable, it's a simple solution. Just like inflate the needs of a crafting
Well,
item, right?
Well, here's what I would
Little
like
trees.
to see, and then like straight to Star Wars Galaxies, where's Z?
Oh.
But where basically resources have qualities. To get a perfect resource is basically non-existent. Like your chance of getting like the absolute best resource basically doesn't happen. And you are basically out there, you're farming all this stuff, but a lot of it isn't usable. That's like the real world, right? Like a lot of the stuff you're out there, grind. Like if you're mining, you're mining through all this different ore and stuff like that, and you're
Those
only getting
great
a
resources.
you're only getting a small portion of like high quality usable stuff. And that's what I would like to see happen. And that way it's, well, if I just want to, grind out make a bunch of random shit and see what happens, then I can go with a lower tier resource. Or there will be node, like maybe like kind of like how the town hall stuff works in New World, where it's just like, throw us a bunch of resources, we'll put it to some kind of use, you get a small benefit.
That's actually
And
pretty good.
yeah, and that's what I would like, because that's how Star Wars Galaxy did it. And so, like, if you found this resource that was like 99% like quality, just like ultra high tier, it was worth so much. And it just spoke to that gambling aspect of you. You were just running around looking for that perfect resource. And when you made a piece of gear, it was all based on like all the different components, qualities that you put into it.
Well, as someone who doesn't gamble much, like I don't know how much that really appeals to me. But
Thane, you don't
but-
gamble, you win.
dude,
Right. I mean, profit.
this if you looked at my last 7 days, true. But so something I want to bring up because we are drawing these apples and oranges, and I think we have this game that is in theory in a preview beta. This isn't a development beta that's going to release in a month and a half until they push it back another year. But I have another kind of shot, and I'm using scales. I've been in very much like a scale, so we're gonna go on a scale of like 1 to 100, and this is an ashes question because we're
Okay.
comparing what they should do in ashes, and knowing that this is an early iteration of crafting. Crafting might end up being better in ashes. Everything might end up being gatherable.
I
don't
hope
think
so.
so,
Yeah,
but they turn it
hopefully.
around. So, and this is kind of an opinion thing. I want to get numbers out here on a scale of 1 to 100. 1 being we're super 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 far away, and 100 being we're there, and there is going to equal alpha 2 in this instance. How close do you guys think we are to alpha 2 in the development of ashes? How far, what's our progress bar through alpha 1 right
Can I start? I think we are pretty far. I mean we've solved several issues like stability issues and like core issues that needed to be resolved. But like I feel like it's 0% fleshed out. I mean, maybe not 0%, maybe 20% fleshed out. Like it needs so much polish on
now?
things like on systems working fluently and well and correctly and maybe more complicated as they go. Um, I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know if you guys are sure about it, but like Alpha 2 is supposed to have like the core systems ready, right?
Mhm.
Like the
Core
crafting
systems
is
are
gonna be
supposed
how
to be added.
Um,
added.
Added and
Okay.
iterated upon.
yeah,
Like
so that's my
alpha 1
Right.
is supposed to be
understanding.
like the back end stability, and once all of that's done,
Yeah.
then A2.
Yeah,
Because
back in
I feel like
2017 and 18, they had made all this stuff. They were like, okay, this is the stuff that makes Alpha 1. This is what makes
Mhm.
Alpha 2. We have not heard any kind of update on any of that since like 2018. And basically, what my understanding now is the stuff that they said would be in Alpha 2, it'll be in by the end of Alpha 2. It'll be added sometime in
okay.
Alpha 2. The big difference I have heard basically between Alpha 1 and Alpha 2 is persistent servers. So basically, servers that are
Yeah,
up
and
24/7, except for like maybe a Tuesday where you take it down for maintenance.
I think A2 is also supposed to be the content test, right? In normal
Yeah.
development cycles,
Right.
A1 is server and backend, A2
Okay.
is content, and then the betas tend to move into polishing quality of life,
Sure.
and let's get 10,000 people in here and see if they complain about the run speed or something like
With
that.
with that said, Fade, let me take it back. If because if we're on the progress of Alpha 1, which is because what we want to solve on Alpha 1 is basically stability, like the core systems working, bugs getting rid of. We're pretty far ahead. Like the Alpha 1, it's pretty decent, like way more decent than what I thought it was gonna be, dude. Like it's actually a playable MMORPG, given it has like lots of bugs and like very little
Hmm.
content, but it's very playable, right? It's very fun to even test the Alpha 1, in my opinion. I've had lots of
Mhm.
fun. Like
Hmm.
surprisingly, I was like telling the guys in my chat, like, why am I having so much fun? This like it's not even like the 20% of the game. Like what's happening?
Yeah.
But it's pretty fun. So I would say like maybe 60%. Hopefully we're gonna like get that like even more
Yeah.
progress. I just want them to like fix quests, dude, so we can like actually see how progression works.
Yeah. And so if you listen back to the AMA Steven had with Proto Bear, the MMORPG, moderator, at one point he mentions that getting out of I listened back to it, and there's some disparity between whether he was saying getting out of Alpha 1 or getting into Alpha 2 would be fall of this year. Now, he didn't say it outright. He was just kind of like, this is like
Maybe.
what we're kind of thinking of as our timeline. Do
Right.
you think they can meet that? Do you think that would is possible? And the big thing, in my opinion, is going from a test that we have, 2 to 3 days of downtime to a persistent test without resets.
I think they might do it.
Yeah, I think that we're close. I think
Yeah.
that we will hear announcements now. If Steven says, because we learned this with Alpha One, if Steven says I will announce it this fall, that means that's December 20th, the last official day of fall, because he already pulled this on us
But
once.
I can see the gears turning in Super's head. He has something to say. What do you
Oh
got?
no, Super's gonna go in.
So I don't give it as much I think as you guys do. Ooh, shocker, I have a differing opinion.
Oh my goodness.
um I think we're a little bit closer to the kind of the 30-40% or 30-40 out of that 0 to 100. The main reason being and I gotta say hello to my wife who's in chat from literally on the other side of the globe right now. um, but there's a lot of node integration stuff that we still need to see. I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
about, what alpha is intended for. Um God damn it, Fane. um there's a lot of node integration stuff that we need to see that is core mechanics, that is
Mhm.
baseline stuff that needs to be integrated. And I think the longer that we go without that being integrated, the less that I have faith that Alpha 2 is actually Alpha 2 and that we're just testing Alpha 1.5. Go ahead.
Things like different types of nodes and like the benefits that they give, like things like that. You mean?
So how the world reacts to a node being level
Okay.
1, level 2,
Yeah, I
level
agree.
3,
I
level
agree.
4.
Totally
Because
agree.
if you break the way I've done it in my head is if you break ashes down, the number one thing, combat has to feel good, right? Everybody agrees on that. Combat just
Yeah.
needs to feel good, but that's a
Yeah.
feel thing, right?
Which, how the fuck did New World figure that out? Because it sucked for so long. And I agree with Xetnal, where it was like, damn, this actually feels pretty good. And some people in chat were like, it just seems like the same thing over and over again. I'm like, well, it's easy to learn, hard to master. That's where you're coming from. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Super.
Yeah.
But breaking it down, taking combat out of it, breaking it down, if the node system fails within Ashes, the game and what they have promised to deliver on fails.
Yep.
And so I want to see more of the node integration side of stuff in Alpha 1.
Mhm.
And sure as shit, we need to see it in Alpha 2. Because if that's something that is pushed to the side, and this is knowing what Steven had said in that AMA that you're talking about, where where he said nodes are easy. We got that figured out. We're good to go. Okay, show us. Please show us. Let us test that, because that is a lot of moving parts. And again, not a coder, not a developer, so maybe it is as easy as he's saying. But in my head, that was the main thing that drew me to the game, and it's also the
Mhm.
main thing where I could see this game potentially failing, is if they don't get that right. Because if something's supposed to happen when we get to a metropolis, and it doesn't happen, and then because that didn't happen, C doesn't happen, and then D doesn't happen, and then so on and so on and so on. Now we have our entire world chain not working because one cog in the machine didn't work. That's just how I understand it. I could be totally off on that. So I want to see more node stuff. Until I see more node stuff at a basic level and how it is integrating, not just nodes and them leveling up, but how they're integrating with the world and
Mhm.
changing the world around it.
Mhm.
Until I see that, I think we're just in a perpetual alpha state. And I need that. I need
But
the nodes.
do you not feel that that's part of like a content thing, like the nodes actually
Because
interacting
of
with the
how
world?
No, because of how so I would be okay if they, let's say, in alpha testing, let's say Winstead gets to village, and then once it's at village, a dungeon opens up. Like something happens because of the development of the city and
Yeah.
where the stone was pulled from, this cave opened up. There doesn't need to be anything in it. I just want to see that development
Well,
happen.
and I
mean, that's
do
good.
agree with you there. And here's the example I would make and what concerns me, right? If things go wrong with your character and it can't be fixed, your character is bricked. Now imagine that happening to an entire server because node interaction was not working properly. Like, what are you going to do? Roll back an entire server's progress, like potentially a huge amount of time to get it back to
Yeah.
a state where it's working properly? Like, and yeah, that can't happen on release. That's going to be huge if an entire server somehow bricks due to these nodes not interacting with each other properly. Where I don't necessarily know what to say on is whether that testing and interaction should come between Alpha 1 or Alpha 2. When it's going to come, all I know is there needs to be a lot of testing on this. We need to break we've already seen it where we, like on Lineth, we like tore a hole in the server and it was like offset with a bunch of invisible walls and things like that.
That was
So
weird.
yeah,
We
super
on
weird.
on Norlon one weekend we leveled up Nala so quickly because we
Mhm.
said screw the starting area, and our entire guild and the entire wood guild all went over to Nala and did those starter quests, that we went from level 2 to 3 so fast that it actually downgraded every single node on the server to a level to an encampment. And
Wow.
so like it broke everything. And so
Mhm.
that seeing that kind of stuff and then going, okay, now not only does that can that a not happen, but how is that going to affect other things happening? And what you said, Bard, I think the only way, and again, as long as we're able to get in and start testing it and really break it, and we need a lot of people to break that, or they need to tune the exp way down, that way we can go in and level up a node in half a day, like but um we need to see those interactions, we need to see the different things, and it's not a hey, let's try to get an idea of what content is coming. It's purely from a testing standpoint of
Yeah.
let us break the node system for you, because if it is as easy as you say it is, show
Then let's
us.
do it. I do agree with
Nodes
you.
3 win.
And super like nodes, the same as you, is what drew me into the game. Like I remember the example of Steven saying like, if you have a node in a mountain, maybe like you'll fight goblins at first, and then you level it up, and then you'll fight like orcs, and then maybe you're gonna get a dragon or a super like a raid, a cave. That is not present at all on the game right now. I'm not sure if it happens, and you guys can correct me. Like right now, the only thing that changes is the levels of the mobs, if anything. But like if I
You get
go
some
right
new
now,
quests. Levels of mobs don't
There-
even change at
sure.
the
quest-
moment.
Now
quests are there.
if I go to a server, I know where to go. I know where
Mhm.
like where everything basically is. It's like it's not including the dynamic nodes, and I think it's not a content thing. It's a system thing. Like that.
Mhm.
All of that, like a Supercell, like you could have like an empty cave. We don't care. I don't care. Like I don't give a damn if like we have no content. I just want to see a node leveling and the world actually changing around it, like they promised, right? Given like we only have like 3 levels of nodes, but that should still like make a difference. Like if Nala is a level 3 node in one server and Winstead is on it's a level 3 on another server, there should be a difference right now on the world, right?
Mhm.
Because
Well,
it's like a core system, in my opinion. It is.
Well, it's a system, but once again, it's content, right? That's what an alpha 2 is for, is testing that kind of content. And we already do have it. We already know that it works on some level, right? Because until Winstead hits level 2, you cannot do your mysterious corpse quest. That
Mhm.
True.
NPC doesn't. So you could have a dungeon that no one has access to, and it's you see that there's the entrance and there's a bunch of boulders in front of, and it's a very simple if X, then Y. If this hits level 2, these boulders crumble, and you could stand there and crumble. And that's a polish pass, right? To have
Okay.
that kind of the animation of boulders being there and crumbling, and then things spawning in the world. Leveling the mobs up, sure. Like I can agree with that on some end, but I think everything we're talking about still, we're talking about content, and alpha ones
Mhm.
are really to get it has nothing to do with the game. It literally, the fact that we have quests and mobs
Servers.
and levels is amazing. It's all about server stability,
Yeah.
basic bug stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I will say that we're not at 100% because when you click Control T, you fall through the world still. But once that
Or
gets,
just log
once
into
that
the
gets-
world, you know?
or log in, yeah. So,
Um,
but once that gets fixed, I think you're another 5%
But-
ahead. I think that the node
That's
stuff is more of an A2 situation.
Yeah, and to
Okay.
bring it back to the original question, how close are we to getting from A1 to A2? I think it's really hard to answer because the real question is how many builds does QA have with a bunch of this
Yeah.
stuff already implemented? And
Right.
then, it's working for them. Now they figured out the back end. How quickly can they add that in without breaking more stuff? If if it's literally that well built that they can make changes on the back end to the server and not break any of these content or systems that are in place, on top of that, I would say, like, if that's the case and we have all these builds, all this content ready to go, and they can just plug and play, I would say we're like 90% there. Now
I
fixing
go
a
back,
lot
I
of
go back. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I would say now, like, if all you're looking at are the server issues fixed? Because I mean, tell me if I'm right. I wasn't able to play this weekend, but I played Thursday and Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and not a single like real issue. No stutters, no lag, no rubber banding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they worked really well.
I mean, from Chile, it was pretty decent, dude.
Yeah.
Like pretty decent. Like, yeah, I think the server things are like kind of solved, dude. Because like, I don't know, when I play on Lineth, Lineth or Lineth, guys,
Lineth is how we are
Lineth.
pronouncing
I
it.
knew it. I knew
On
it.
another note, Lineth
Uh,
it may be the goddess of creation.
Oh yeah, I know.
Did you guys
I've
do?
actually been digging. Yeah.
Did you
the
guys
quest-
do the big long quest line where she goes praise Lineth at the end of it?
And Norland.
Yeah.
Norland also. I think the researchers actually praised Norland. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So
yeah,
Norland is maybe the goddess of no. What are the? Hold on.
He's
Go ahead.
Ooh.
God damn it, we need our lore guy here.
He's a god
Either
of fame.
way, what I was gonna say is that Lineth, it's a very, very crowded server. I was playing there last week, and like it was pretty decent. It was pretty fluid. I was happy about it, dude.
Mhm.
I was super, super happy about it. Maybe like right now, my issues are like, why is this quest not working? I want to program like that. Those are my issues right now.
But and I agree with what you're saying, Fane, about it being a little bit more on the content side. I mean, again, the question was kind of phrased in a way of, you know, from a personal side, where do you think it is?
Mhm.
And for me, it's breaking it down to what are the core things about the game: servers, combat, and nodes. Like those three things. As long as those three things work, everything else can be implemented, or even implemented at a later date. I mean, realistically, like if they wanted to be like, hey guys, we need more time on the Metropolis system, but we're going to launch the game up to node level 5, like cool, we're going to hold back on 6, and that will be a kind of a content patch that comes in later, and we'll tie some lore around it. It'll make sense, but we need some more time with that. So that kind of stuff is like, okay, like that's later, that's whatever, and it's just breaking it down to the core side of it. Whether that comes into testing in A1 or A2, to me, doesn't necessarily matter. Um, but again, for me, it's just breaking down. Those are the three main components of this game in my head,
Yeah.
and we haven't really seen much iteration on the node side of stuff. So that's the only reason why I kind of bring that up.
No, 100%, and I agree with that. I think that the nodes are going to be a lot easier to test than other people think, because it will be that you could create a blank server and in theory just plug in X amount of experience into a node, and then make sure once I plug that in experience in, these things around it populate, and this is the average level of mobs. That can work, and then go public with it. That could be an A2 fix. But A1, I think once we have like a non-buggy, because it's going to feel bad if people can play persistently, but they're falling through the world every time that they die. And getting the servers specifically ready, because if you guys thought that these re-released Alpha 1 packs was a huge influx of people, I cannot tell you how many people said, I have Alpha 2 and I didn't decide to upgrade. I think that we're going to see I think the numbers are going to at least triple going into Alpha 2. And I think so it's just getting the servers to that point, getting the servers, the map larger, getting ready for that Alpha 2 where it's like a quarter of the world.
So let's take this back to New World and how freaking awful that launch was. Literally 6-hour queues, things like that.
Yeah. And
the queue system doesn't know. It doesn't know how long. I got in late because they launched an hour early. I don't know why they launched an hour early, but that was cool. And I had a 1,600 person queue and it said 30 minutes. It went down to 1,400. It said 29 minutes. It then went down to 1,100 and it went up to 32 minutes because of math. Like, why is the number going down, but the time is going up? And it stayed at 30 minutes until I got to less than 50 people. And then it said less than 1 minute.
So I think the simple answer there is it's probably some dumb smart algorithm that's basically saying number of people on, number of people, or number of spots available, number of people in queue, and then it's adjusting based on how frequently people are leaving.
And the algorithm can't work because it doesn't have enough data, right? It's built to be a program that's taken in, weeks and months of data to make its analysis, and it's just all brand new right now. But it just goes like that's the way. As I said, I am enjoying New World. I think I actually am pleasantly surprised, but it shows that I think Ashes of Creation is being developed by people who have been in the MMO world and experienced these problems and these frustrations, and they're already taking steps to fix it. Hence the idea of server reservations, right, ahead of time. So you can figure out who you're on a server with. You don't just end up on a random server, especially if you're a solo player and you ended up on our, big server Atlantis with, a bunch of huge guilds, and you're waiting 4 hours to log in. It's just like
it's not a good feeling. It's absolutely not a good feeling. I mean, and especially if you saw the Asia Pacific servers, somebody said go look at the Asia Pacific servers, and I went. The lowest queue on one of those servers was 5,000 people. The highest was 8,600, and I was told it was at 10K at some point.
Oh my
This
god!
is,
I
and
thought
this
Latin
is the,
American was bad.
this is the issue that I have, and this was the issue I had with New World a year ago. I'm not sure the developers are. I mean, maybe Jeff went up to the moon in his little spaceship to go visit the developers, because I'm not sure they're here on Earth. It's not that hard between pre-order plus beta keys that we're giving away equals amount of people that you need to the server. And I think that the hype has been building on this. And I iterate this with also like a year ago when they're like, yeah, this game is super ready to launch. We think it's a great game. And the community feedback was absolutely so negative that they had to push back a year. I'm not sure how in touch with the average community member they are. And then I look at Intrepid Studios that's like, hey, we think we want to do login rewards. What do you think? And the community goes, no login rewards. And they say, okay, no login rewards. Okay, we'll change the fireball animation. That being said, I have one big gripe, and this is a stupid gripe, but I think this is everything that I just said. When you're in queue, no New World music plays. It's dead silence. I think that's a small quality of life thing, but I think that it's super impactful. I don't need like a login queue game to play on the side.
What is this queue that you guys are talking about? I've literally never been in queue once.
Really?
Yeah, that's because you're with a 10-person guild on your own random server where like you can't get anything done.
We have like the largest syndicate guild on our server.
With 10 people?
The largest syndicate guild?
Not with 10 people.
All these other 7-person guilds running around like, ooh.
We're on Murius, or however you say it. But
no, dude, what super bothers me is that Amazon owns like 30% of the internet server-wise.
Yeah,
why?
And they can't figure this shit out.
They see, like, I don't know, on Latin American servers, was like 30, maybe like 5K people on the queues, like with 5 servers, because they're every time they're like Latin America, there's like 20 people there. But bro, people like, especially on Latin America, have been expecting an MMO. Like Latin American people are crazy for MMOs, especially without a subscription. And I'm like, okay, you have these 10K people queues, and what do they do? I'm gonna add 2 more servers. I'm like, brother, please open up like 10.
Well, maybe remember that the concurrent for a single server is 1,000 people for Ashes or for New World.
It's very
so
low.
If you have a 10,000 person server or queue, something's going on here. But that's the other issue to balance, right? That's what's really rough, is balancing the fact that right now we have queues on launch day where our queues are already far less where we're at, and it's only going to drop off further. You still want a healthy population. So how do you balance having good queues, good concurrency with
you would have to merge servers at some point.
Well, and it's trying to avoid that. So like in a game like even New World, we've talked about this with Ashes, world mergers, server mergers are going to be horrible for everybody involved. It's gonna be less bad for the people who are the server that's getting merged into, but it's gonna be horrible for the people who are having to leave everything that they've built up, that they've tried to progress in, and go and adapt to something else. And so
is way more impactful than that, though.
Absolutely, but I do think that there is some of that within New World. But I agree, it is nowhere near as impactful. But, for example, it's not WoW. It's not WoW. You can server merge in WoW every other day, and nobody's gonna know. Like,
and that's it. Is like we spent the entire first day farming up our 100,000 gold to take over our hamlet. Right? We wanted to buy our hamlet. We wanted to have control of that. We wanted to defend it, and we bought First Light.
I didn't know you buy it.
Yeah, guilds buy it. That's how you initially get into it. So it's 100,000 gold.
Oh, and then you enter in a war. Okay.
And then it becomes this war system of back and forth. But the initial thing is just whoever gets 100,000 gold first buys it, and then they get to control what projects you build. So like we're talking about like, oh, what crafting stations are we going to build? What do we think is most important? We're working with our fellow friends Envious to see what they're building to make sure we have everything locked down. And like, right before I got on this podcast, someone was starting to attack our fort, which helps like destabilize and progress towards a war.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, does it make sense to call an Envious? Like, how many people are there? All this, and like it becomes this political intrigue. But that just bring it back to the point is, we did all that on our server. If we were just to get transferred to a new server with our character and lose all of that, I'd be pretty upset, to be honest.
That was a hard day of like farming. We were all pushing a ton of gold, and it's essentially saying it doesn't matter anymore. You now need to carve out your piece in this world, which once again is much easier to do in a new world than it is in an Ashes, where I think if your server gets merged, you're seeing a huge player drop off in terms of just them quitting.
So would you guys say like we just gotta suck it up for the queues? Like maybe
100%.
that is the most healthy. Like just fuck it. Like
Too bad.
And that's where I was going with it. Is I would rather, even though I haven't experienced the queues so far, and it's probably just because of server pop, we randomly decided our server. Like it wasn't anything well thought out. We were just like this one. Like we looked at, like somebody had posted the lore behind it. We're like, this one sounds cool. Like let's go with this one.
Yeah.
But exactly what you're saying, Xetnal. I think this is a bullet we need to bite especially with Ashes, to help ensure healthy server populations.
With Ashes, 100%. I'm just talking about New World. Like I'm thinking of the 31.
Even with New World, New World.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have to be there like just like way earlier to be on that queue first to stream it, because I don't want to be waiting like an hour, which is been the case for most people. But once you get in, it's pretty, and I'm pretty sure you guys will agree with me that the best feeling of the world is playing on a day one on an MMORPG. Like day one on an MMORPG, everybody like questing, going around, killing each other. It's beautiful, brother.
There's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing better in gaming. Even beating the highest tier, most difficult boss never beats being there day one, minute one, second one.
I mean, you never forget when you ding level 5. Like level 5 is like a big thing. You're like, all right,
what level are you? I'm level 3. I'm level 5, bitch. Like,
and why do you think that's Blizzard's entire model, right? Give you a fresh launch day every however often. Like they do it in small stages with patches, and then they're like, oh, we'll just give you a content drought, and then you'll come back and it'll be this new exciting feeling again.
Blizzard gets me so tilted, brother. So tilted. Like I feel like they take so many bad decisions with the gameplay. And I understand like having a multi-million fucking like company, you just want the profit at the end of the day. I'm pretty sure like Blizzard, it's not about gameplay anymore. They're just gonna milk that cow.
Yeah. It's just borrowed power, raid, patch with another raid. And then they recycle it. And I think that they need to make, I honestly think like I've heard for years, right? Guild Wars 2, the WoW killer, SWOTOR, the WoW killer, WildStar, the WoW killer. We keep hearing that phrase. I honestly agree that the only thing that can kill WoW is itself.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think that they're doing a really good job of it right now.
Great job, Blizzard. Great job.
When when you're losing numbers in a year where everyone is quarantined inside their home and has nothing to do but game, when you're losing numbers, and at the same time, Final Fantasy 14 is running out of digital copies because they can't flip enough codes.
That's crazy, dude.
You're in trouble, and you need to really rethink your 17-year-old game. And maybe that looks like WoW 2. Maybe it just looks like doing something new and innovative with your game. But I think they're just so afraid to take risks.
You know the problem? WoW 2 would be made by the same developers, dude. Like I feel like they need to just get your shit together basically on the game. Like stop creating these systems that are tedious and people don't like it. Like, and everybody knows like the problems with WoW. Even WoW knows them, right? And one of the things that I hate is, as you said, the classic phrase like, this game is gonna kill WoW. Like, please stop trying to kill WoW. Please stop trying to go to what WoW is. WoW is its own beast. It's gonna be there forever. screw that. Let's do different things, dude. Like, and if you don't have WoW, you have Final Fantasy. Like, don't create the same game again, please. That's what like destroyed the genre for a while.
Yeah. No,
Just
yeah,
trying to copy it.
you're right. Same thing. Like SWTOR was an amazing game to play, and I say that being a huge Star Wars nerd. Like,
Mhm.
so, but it was just WoW in space, and so I need I've said this a lot. Like, I know it's putting pressure on Ashes and now even New World and other games like Mortal Online 2 and these other
Oof.
games that are coming out that are supposed to be m- more traditional, less retail, like no, I just said retail, less modern. Um those games we need as a community, as an MMORPG community, we need those games to succeed because
Okay.
with the AAA backing, with the huge studio that Blizzard is, I know because their developers do care about creating a good game. I have to believe that. I
Yeah.
refuse to believe that the developers, the people who are being paid to code and create the game, are not just doing it to fuck over the players. I think those decisions are coming from the board. I think those decisions are coming from the big wigs up top.
Yeah.
And so I know that if Ashes succeeds, if New World succeeds, things like Mortal Online 2, you even got some smaller scale stuff like Palia. If you have
Ooh.
these things succeed, then it will put Blizzard in a situation where they go, you know what, we're doing it wrong. Let's develop this on the back end. Like they don't have to be public about it. Whatever they can do the typical whatever, but come out with something a little bit more sandboxy. Come out something a little bit more, and if what we are seeing be released from now until the next 2, 3, 4 years as these games come out, it's going to put the pressure on them
Well,
to go, hey, we need to do something better.
it's interesting, right? Because we all saw Steven's, knee-jerk reaction to the post about New World and their shop and all that.
Yeah.
He went off on his tangent, but in his apology, he said something which a lot of people looked at where it's like that's just an apology. He's like, I really hope New World succeeds. Steven is a very smart man. He truly does, because New World succeeding is New World is that like first little bit of a sand park MMO, right? Where there are some rails, but it is a little bit more sandbox. It is player driven.
Park. Nice.
Yeah. Literally New World and Ashes, they're 2 years apart. If people enjoy New World and it's a huge success and it brings new people into the genre enjoying it, those people feed right into Ashes. Like
100%.
That's literally just grabbing more market share for his product.
Like we know, so I know Bard's in the restaurant industry. I've been in the restaurant industry for years. Like we know the restaurant, and people. This is the one comment that I would always hate when you're at a restaurant and people say, "Oh, a new restaurant opened up across the street and they look pretty successful. Are you worried about competition?" It's not competition. The more restaurants we have in this one little area, the more people come here to come do it. So right now, the MMO genre isn't fighting against other MMOs. It's fighting against battle royales, first-person shooters, like little social games, indie developers, RPGs, survival, like all of these other games. Like when you go to the Twitch page and you see that League of Legends and CS:GO are always above World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14, that's what we're fighting against. We're fighting to get people, because we all grew up on MMOs. We all love MMOs, right? The younger generation isn't that big of a fan because they've never had a good, well-released long-term MMO. And so they've fallen off because I have ADD and I can do TikTok in 10 seconds and I can play Fortnite and it's a 20-minute game and then I move on. And I think that as they mature, and the already more mature group, we're looking for more good MMOs. So the more better MMOs that are in the category, the better off it will be overall.
Yeah. And to go back to that, like, so a lot of I helped open a distillery, and we had another distillery open like 5 minutes away from us, same town. And a lot of people were asking like, oh, are you guys worried? Or are you guys worried? And it's like, well, there's two things to this. First of all, as Fane said, it just brings in more people interested in breweries and distilleries. The other thing is there's something to be said for being the best of the competition. And we're like, we're gonna strive to be the best. You know, if people see this and they come for both these, but they're like, oh, but you want to go there because they're the best. That's something to be said, and that I think is what Steven is trying to do with Ashes. He's very much trying to be like, okay, we could cut corners, or we could spend our time, make a great game, and be the best in this genre.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
sorry,
I think New World was like, I mean, it was, you know, joked about, you know, a New World, the gateway MMO. First one's always free. You're right, Fane.
it's true. It's true.
I got some beta keys for you, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some beta keys in the van if you want.
Yeah,
some.
guys, I got a van full of puppies and beta keys. Come on over.
Yeah, that's how you kidnap me, by the way. Tell me there's puppies and beta keys in your
I mean, dude, me too.
But they wanted to beat Ashes. I truly believe that when they saw the momentum that Ashes was gaining so early on, I think Amazon was like, yo, let's get in on this. We already I think maybe they already had something going, and this put the fire under their ass to go, let's get it done first. And they have the money to do that. They were able to do that. Not that Ashes isn't well funded, because it is, but whereas Ashes might need to account for every nickel, New World only needs to account for every dollar. And so
I still want to know how much was spent on New World.
that would be interesting to know for sure. So they were just trying to get boots on the ground. They were just trying to get there, get the base layer establishment in. And I really hope that, to echo what you're saying, Bard, that Ashes is going to come in and it's going to be the full infrastructure. It's going to be the cavalry coming in. It's going to be, so, you know, yeah, you go and, you know, hit up that taco shack that's been there for, you know, that was there 5 years before anything else was, because that's an awesome place to go. And it's fun to go back and relive and experience that and have good food. Like, so you go back and you have it every now and then. But this place over here is just fucking amazing. But all of those things existing and actually being there, to what you said, Fane, having a plethora of restaurants in one place just pulls people. It doesn't necessarily pull people to your restaurant and only your restaurant. It pulls people to the area, and then they go. I mean, how many times have you been in the middle of a mall food court and like, what do I want to eat? And you're looking at everything.
And it's like none of that. You're like, none of that. It's all awful.
None of it, but there's a sports bar over here, right? Like,
yeah. Well, but even that, it's like, okay, the restaurant's near the mall. It's like, oh, do we want to go to the Red Robin, or do we want to go to the BJ's Brew House, or do we want to go to, you know, like, and so all of those, like,
definitely BJ's.
And so you make all of those different things in one place. And I really see that that's what's happening with the MMORPG right now. And we're just at the initial phase of it. And so we're just, all of us are over here just like, oh my God, just open already. Like,
well, and Bard made a great point too, because you do want to be the best, even though there's competition around. The competition drives you. If you're not awful, the competition drives you to improve. What are they doing that's better than you, and how can you step up your game? And WoW has been the lone shitty Italian restaurant in the small town forever. They haven't seen the need to improve. We're just going to change up our menu where we switch whatever sauce goes on whatever shaped noodle every 2 years, and we're going to charge you $20 for it. You know, and they've just been doing the same expansion kind of grind. Now that there's other things in the market, it's time for them to step up. And you look at a game like New World that I think everyone on this panel can agree it has its flaws in its current iteration. It's way better than it was a year ago. But there are certain parts of the game that each of us have found feel amazing in their own right. Like, I love the combat. I love the crafting. You know, Bard's running some expeditions and having a ton of fun with that. Like, we're all feeling, and we like that system. And that new thing, if you can do it well, because new will always attract, but if you can do new well, you win. Because if it's good after that day one launch where everyone's in and we're so excited, once you get past that day one launch where you're like, well, not going to the post office or the grocery store this week, let's keep going. That's when you start to have a real success on your hands.
Let's talk about month 2, something like that, right? Like, I'm super curious about like how is it gonna hold out after the first month, after release, obviously, because like this is beta, everybody's excited, whatever. But like, let's talk about like maybe September, October, or New World. You know, like is it gonna still be like full? Are people are gonna be like bored? I have yet to see the end game content,
Mhm.
which again should be like super cool. But in my opinion, it should not be the main goal in the game, right? I am a super
Yeah.
advocate for horizontal progression, and I hope it's great, right? I mean, it does help that you can like switch up with different weapons and whatnot. But if they keep following that formula of end game equal like best game, that's gonna eventually kill their game for
Yeah.
me, at least. You know,
And I'm
maybe
going to
not commercially,
say
but
it
for me.
right now, and this is coming from a place of not having seen it yet. But to me, I don't think this gameplay loop is something that's, I'm going to last for months. I think it's something a
Mm.
month or two of kind of fun. We'll see when we get to the end game. This is a little early to say, but that's where it comes into, as Super was saying, of well, they're trying to jump on this hype wagon of what people want and thinking they can do it faster and better than Ashes because they're a big game company and they can, bring in all these people and pay all this money. The issue is they don't have a clear direction. They even taking ideas of what people liked from New World or from Ashes, they still they just went so many different directions. Whereas Steven has been like, this is what we're doing, not allowing feature creep. Like, this is what we're doing. And that's what I tell people. Like, they are open to taking feedback, but they're not
Yeah.
changing the core fundamentals of this game. This is Steven's dream. It's his dream. Like, we're here because of those core fundamentals. If you don't like it, go find another game. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. This net game is not going to be for everyone.
And there's honor in that, right?
Mhm.
This is the product that we are going to give you, and we're so committed to this product. I mean, okay, so we're going to make fun of an Ashes of Creation mod here for a second. Z says she hates pizza. I've been to England. I'm convinced the only reason she hates pizza is because every pizza shop is
Sucks.
also a burger, fish and chips, and kebab place. They sell everything, right? Cheesecake Factory doesn't make anything good because they have a 14-page menu. Just say, this is what we're deciding to offer you. These are the 10 items we're willing to offer you.
Right.
And guess what? You can
the
do it. So honestly, I envy you living in South America because I've been to Mexico City once to visit friends, and it's like, well, what is that lady over here making? Oh, well, she's making like pupusas. And I'm like, oh wow, are they good? And they're like, yeah, she's been that family, that cart's been in there for 3 generations. Well, what do they sell? Pupusas. That's it. If they've been making one thing for 3 generations, it's good. If you're trying to appease everybody and oh yeah, no, we'll have a little bit of this in New World, and we'll have a little bit of this. That's I think when you start to water down the content.
Fane, you've hit the nail of what I was saying earlier as well, with the combat. Like that's why I think Ashes of Creation should actually specialize. Like, are we gonna be Tav? Are we gonna be action combat? Like that hybrid thing, I feel like it's trying to like make tacos and sushi in the same restaurant, right? Like,
Yeah.
which one is gonna be? Like, if
Hold
you're
on,
gonna
we
get
have a really
targeting-
good restaurant
Bro,
that
no,
does tacos and sushi.
Dude,
Hold
there's
on,
so many.
tacos and
There's so
sushi.
many.
That's
so
what I'm
many
naming my
Peruvian
OnlyFans.
restaurants have
Called-
sushi.
It's
I
called
just showed
Pepe
that.
Osaka's Fish Tacos, and it's really good.
Shout out to them, man.
sorry,
But-
sorry, I just had to.
Yeah.
cut.
I mean, like, if you're gonna if you're gonna go and like give me tab targeting, which most people would be like, fuck. Not most people, but lots of people are gonna be like, fuck, I don't want WoW and shit. Okay, let's do tab targeting, but let's do a really in-depth and great tab targeting, right? You don't have to copy Final Fantasy, you don't have to copy WoW. Just do your own thing, but don't try to give me that weird action camera, which I don't know if I got like you guys are on with me, but like action camera sucks.
Oh, it's so bad right now,
and there's
right?
zero
now.
benefits.
So- so here's-
sure right now.
And here's the biggest issue that I see, and I agree with you 100%, Xetnal. And I really do think that it's going to come to going to be a surprise to a lot of people. And I'm going to be over here like, I fucking saw this shit coming 2 years ago. Like, I think that it's going to go to pure tab target.
Yeah.
The number one reason being not because of the current state of it, but because of how they've iterated and where they've started from.
Mhm.
Had they started from an action combat focus, then I could see them then integrated in tab target. But we
Yeah,
are
me too.
starting from a tab target focus and trying to integrate in action.
I was
And
thinking.
so-
Okay, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was thinking like just what you said. Like just because how they integrated at first, like for example, the enemies, right? Like the enemies target you, and we can compare this with New World, where like in New World, okay, maybe a mob will target me and he'll do his attacks, but he's not completely targeting me. He's just like, okay, he's there. I'm gonna do this attack here in this spot of the ground, like at this, like standing at this location. On Ashes, mobs actually like target you and like beeline to you and are like, Xetnal, 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 I'm gonna kill you, right? And that's like a purely top targeting mindset with AI, right? And once you got like, if you got the AI doing top targeting to you, implementing a good action combat system, it's weird because the mobs don't go through the same like rules as you, right?
I think
Um,
action combat feels so good in New World because
So-
they developed the game around action combat.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's
And
my
I don't
worry.
know if Ashes could hit the same note having starting their development where it is right now, where it's tab
Mhm.
focused.
I also think the scope of New World is nowhere close to the scope of Ashes when you're talking about these node sieges
Oh,
and
true.
castle sieges.
True.
Like 250 on
5%.
250. Like I can tell you right now from my expedition, for those who watched the stream of the final boss fight, there was like 5 of us in the party and one boss summoning mobs, and it was hectic as fuck. I was just running around like Chris. Granted, we didn't know the fight, but that's how PvP is gonna be. And if you add in just action combat, like it's not this thing where you're zoomed out, you're clicking on things, looking around, seeing what's happening around you. Like action combat has a place. I just don't know if it's in the scope of Ashes. And with that said, I am also biased. I've said this so many times. Until New World is actually my favorite action combat system. Most other action combats have not
Did you play
been
Terra?
enjoyable. I did not play Terra, and people have told me to
Terra
check
is
that
See,
out.
Great.
I didn't enjoy Terra. I like Guild Wars
The
2,
combat?
but I didn't enjoy Terra at all.
But the combat in Terra, I hate Terra. I was like, fundamentally, I hate Terra because it's
the
like a
combat was-
Korean grinder. But
Yeah, the combat was fine, I guess. It's kind of the same
okay.
way, like
It's
BDO.
old, though.
I think the combat in BDO, even though it's repetitive, feels
great.
good. It feels
But-
smooth. You move from one to the next, but it's
The
Nightmare.
magic of BDO, dude, it's like it feels like a fighter and more like an MMO.
Yeah.
Because like,
yeah.
But you couldn't
on-
have
on-
that in a 250 versus 250 with people just flying all
Right.
over the
Oh,
place and like
No,
I mean,
like,
if you go and on Black Desert and you go into like to a world boss, it's choppy as hell. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I was crying. I was like, please, please, Ashes, be better than this. Because like
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
sailing in Black Desert Online, and it, excuse me, sucks, dude. It fucking sucks, dude. I mean, it's epic and shit. I'm on my boat. Because everything like it's I don't know. I'm not a coder again, like just like you guys, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That combat system, it's amazing, but it's its own thing and it works only on BDO. Like I wouldn't want BDO combat on Ashes of Creation.
Mhm.
I would actually be super happy with arcade combat, dude.
well,
Which is
and
like
that's one of the
it's
that's
cool
one of
to
the
play
biggest
it.
inspirations for this kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I'm gonna take the other side because Super and I are never allowed to agree on anything, so we're gonna like argue here.
Okay, good.
So with this, here's why I like the tab plus action blend. It's
Uh-huh.
because the best you'll get, say you're a tab targeter, right? You're a tab targeter, you don't really do the action thing. The best you're gonna get is, they've said, roughly 75% tab, 25% action. I like the fact that you will be very good at the tab, you'll suck at the action, and that means you're gonna be not great. You might be 80% of like your optimal character or whatever. I like that you
Right.
have to learn. I like that you have to learn the action and really learn how to use it. Things like every ranger ability in every game has that big circle that you place on the ground and the arrows rain down. I saw people in New World placing that down like directly on a mob. I'm like, no. You have to place that so that they're at the front edge and then they walk through it and
Mhm.
continue
The
to take damage.
entire thing.
Or
Yeah, so-
initiate combat, let them get to you and place it where you are. That way you get the full
That way-
duration
Right.
of the
Mhm.
effect
As
on
you're
them.
fighting,
Right.
exactly. So I like that there is a little bit of that. The prismatic beam on the
So-
mage in Ashes,
I love
aiming that.
prismatic beam.
I think that's action combat, right? That
Yeah, but
it is a
I-
form target.
Puddles are action combat.
I
Yeah.
still
So-
think the most
sorry.
satisfying action combat system is like League of Legends. When you're throwing out
Yeah, I'll
huge
be on online,
long range
brother.
skill shots
Yeah.
that have a travel
I'll be
time.
online.
Yeah, and well, I haven't played Albion, but like I feel like
Sure.
you can just do tab target with these
Mhm.
skill shots Where when you press the skill shot, the reticle comes up, you aim it, you drop it, but not just like, here's my AoE, here's a little cast time, and the AoE drops on the ground. It's like, no, this is a moving
World of
target.
Warcraft has that.
To an extent, not as
Blizzard is
much.
like that.
The Blizzard just comes down immediately. So it's not like there's a travel time and you have to wait for it to get over
travel
there.
Time is travel time is important. So I'm ex Overwatch Pro, right? So I played Hitscan. Widowmaker has a different you need to lead your bullet differently than Hanzo, than McCree, then Ashe, then all of these different hit scans. You need to learn them, so go to New World. I was playing with musket a lot, and then I'm like, I just want to try out the bow because some people are saying that the bow feels a little bit slower, but it feels much more impactful. But the bow's a little harder to aim. It takes a little bit more you really have to lead your target. The fire staff
is definitely it's the same. It's even slower, and the code.
And I think that's cool. I think having to learn that to be really good. I mean, I saw people running Great Axe, two-handed Warhammer, and I'm like, that's gonna be really boring combat. Run into the center of stuff, go and then it's all dead. I like this. I like a little bit of skill separating the bottom from the top, and skill not necessarily being the way you see skill in WoW, where it's I hope I pushed my buttons in the right order at the right frequency at the right time.
Yeah.
So
I like push my cooldowns, right?
Yeah. And to be clear, I like the action combat. Again, my concern with Ashes is that they're going to put too much time and effort into trying to make the split work when that time could be better used in developing other aspects of the game and making those things better. Innovate in other places, and then I don't know, maybe come back to that, implement it into your ARP, or not your ARPG, your BR, implement it into a different game. But with Ashes, let's break it down a little bit. Let's pick one, because I think, and we had actually talked about this. I in the Virtue Discord, I had raised the question: would you rather have a lackluster combat system that is a 75-25 split with your choice, or would you rather have a really good, solid tab targeting system?
Well, and that's what I would like to see is 75 tab target, 25 action combat, but that's it. That's what you have. There's no change yet. There's none of this weird combination, because then they can focus on making that 75-25 with some awesome skill shots, some really rewarding skills, and then call it a day. That to me is where I think we should go. Obviously, it's still too early to make a final judgment, in my opinion. So I would say, let's wait and see, right? It sucks to say that. I don't like ever saying wait and see, but I think it's kind of like a wait and see where combat goes as they start doing some iterations. But that's the idea I'm going to go to if they can't flesh it. Start getting a good feeling combat system fairly quickly.
I feel like you need fluent and impactful combat, no matter if that's step targeting or action. Just do it fluid and impactful, and you'll get a game. Just get a solid combat and start focusing on the other 90% of the game, because this game has so many good systems and so much potential. Just get a good solid combat working, impactful, fluid. Okay, we can work with this, and then start working on the other things.
And that's why
ideally they're doing it all right. We are getting good combat, and we are getting
ideally
that, and that would be and the hard thing about good combat is we can theory craft 27.8% action and the rest is going to be tab or 50-50, but it just depends how it feels, and that's such an intangible that I think that's the biggest thing that needs feedback through all this testing.
And
so
that's
my concern from the let's wait and see side is there are people both in Virtue and other communities that I have talked to that are playing Ashes, or that are interested in Ashes because of what the proposed combat system is. And so if we go too long with this system, and let's say it's beta 1 and they're like, yo guys, we fucked up, we're going full tab, this is so fucked up, this is so jacked up, we need to go back, this is just going to be full tab. In my opinion, they need to make a decision on combat direction within before Alpha 2.
Yeah.
And once we're into Alpha 2, that's the combat system that they're going to iterate upon. And because even with New World, like what we saw from the preview, though it feels better now, or as you said, Bard, from even just a couple of months ago or a month ago, though it feels better now, the combat hasn't really changed. They've just polished it. They've just improved upon their base system.
And so
if our base system changes, then people who are coming to the game for a proposed base system that isn't going to be there are going to feel lied to. So they need to figure that out if they are going one way or the other.
And that's a very good point. And it's interesting. We've talked about this on this podcast before, but it's impossible to say what makes a good combat system. It's all about feel. Like you can be like, oh, just do this, this, and this, and you have a good combat system. It's like, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm flabbergasted by New World. Because the combat felt so bad even a month ago. I was like, oh, this doesn't feel quite good. And I still can't put my finger on. I don't know what they changed about it, but suddenly I'm really enjoying the combat.
I just the feeling of like, yo, I see a mob there, let me throw my stun you with my rep here, go into there and stoke you and kill you. It's like, oh my god, it's just like a rabbit.
But
I'm
they
so
have,
happy.
they're like New World's abilities lock you into actions. Something we've been complaining about with Ashes forever. It's like, we hate this auto attack. It locks you in. It doesn't feel good, but for some reason it feels good in New World. The risk reward is worth it when you lock yourself in.
It's because it's more close. It's like it's way closer, and I'm gonna into the meme, right? But it's closer to Dark Souls, dude. It's a Dark Souls light type of combat. But what feels good about Dark Souls combat is that you are committed to your actions, right? In an ambience where like you have all these tap targeting things. And then you suddenly get locked into your animation. It just doesn't work. But if the combat on Ashes of Creation, the combat in Ashes of Creation was just like focused on action combat and more into that Dark Souls feeling, it wouldn't bother us that much. But it's not. It's actually, as Super said, it's actually from the foundation up, it's tap targeting, right? So like locking you in. Like I don't know why melee attackers suck. I mean, I'm sorry, I know why melee attacks suck. It's because they lock you in place. And that's why Mage feels amazing, because we're in this tap targeting ambience and I can move around and like cast fire rolls and everything while moving, but then melee just stucks me into this animation that sucks. So I don't know. They need to commit, dude. That's it. They just need to commit.
I agree. 110%. I think they need to pick a lane and they need to jump into it. Unless there is some fucking combat iteration that we haven't seen, that I actually feel is very unlikely. Whereas I do think that they have content on other builds ready to go to plug and play. I think what we're seeing of combat is what they have so far. And I would be surprised for them to really implement something revolutionary at this point. And so that's what concerns me about combat right now within Ashes. But between the two, the thing that I think is most impactful in melee combat and why locking in place in New World is okay and why locking in place in Ashes isn't okay is because you can actively dodge and block in New World and you cannot in Ashes.
Yeah, you're summoning DA here.
Now. Right.
You're summoning DA.
But I'm just making the comparison as to why I think that might be a reason is why it might feel, and I didn't play a month ago. But it comparing, the apples to oranges that is the combat systems between New World and Ashes, getting locked in place is you can choose, okay, because I fought this mob type 500 times now, or however many times it takes you, I now know what their rotation is. I now know what their animations look like. So I know when I need to stop swinging and block or dodge or do whatever I need to do. Whereas in Ashes, you're just kind of fucked. And when you get hit by a tail, you maybe get stunned.
And Steven has said he wants Ashes to like be a lot more like an action combat with NPCs where they telegraph their abilities and you can react accordingly. I think it's too early to see if we're going to see that yet. We do get a little bit of it with some of the big bosses. So when you fight the big bosses, like you don't have something telling you like this is coming out now. It's not a DBM thing, but you do see the telegraph start to happen. And it's such an early iteration that I'm hoping we're going to get that with every kind of mob, not just big bosses.
Fun. Like bosses are fun in Ashes.
Yes, very.
I fought a couple of dragons, and it's very hectic, very fun. I liked it.
Even at this early stage,
we got to make sure the path to the boss is exciting too, right? Like if the mobs feel like shit, but the bosses feel awesome, that's
Mhm.
going to be a huge complaint. And
Yeah,
so
for sure.
whether they like it or not, all the combat's got to feel good, not just one thing versus
Yeah.
or another.
I think active blocking might actually be very, very good on Ashes, and like let me move while I melee attack. And because like people sometimes say like, yo, on real combat you have to like log into your pose and like do your thing, and that's I do combat in real life, bro, with these weapons. Like I
Mhm.
actually do, and you have to be very, very mobile in order to be like if you want even if you want realism, you need to be mobile. Like, have you guys played Mortal Online 2 at all?
Yeah. Oh,
A
yeah.
little bit.
That
Yeah.
actually has really great combat, in my opinion. Very
Mm-hmm.
skillful combat. Obviously, it's not going to be how Ashes is going to be, but it feels good. You can actually move around a lot while you fight, and it's very realistic. Of course, it's not
Mhm.
100% realistic, but
Yeah.
it does feels good. It does feels rewarding. It feels fluent and impactful. Yes, they need a little bit of like network fixing and like some animations. That's fine, but the main idea of like being active, like every swing matters, and I can move while I do it, and I can block while I do it. I feel like that's a big thing that would help Ashes, in my opinion, right now, especially with melee combat, dude. Because like the main reason I don't play tank, because I really do like the get over here and all those things. It's the basic attacks. They just suck,
So
sadly.
I have a weird Ashes question that I've been thinking about all week, and I want to kind of throw it out there while we're talking about alphas and testing and all of that. So, for those that don't know, there was a speed bug exploit situation that you could do.
Yeah.
Bardic did a great video on it, by the way, guys. Go over to
Oh, I haven't
YouTube,
watched it.
check out
Link it.
Bardic, watch that. It's really interesting. Um, Steven came out and said on the Discord, please do not do this. Please don't do this.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were still doing it. At the same time, I don't want to name any names, but there were some people who said in their Discord, and it was leaked to Intrepid, hey, this is a bug, not about the speed, but about a different bug. This is a bug. Please don't report it. I'd love to get this into the game to exploit the game and to see if we can get it. Like let's try to be the only ones that know about this bug so we can get
Oh,
this
wow.
exploit. How tough do you think Intrepid should be coming down with the ban hammer on people like this? Keeping in mind that they've paid $500 for these packs. They've been in there, they are actively testing, and Intrepid clearly needs bodies for testers because they still haven't cut off that $500 Alpha 1 pack. I think they still definitely need bodies. How impactful, like how tough should they be when people aren't listening to these rules?
Like for not reporting issues, just to keep them
No,
by themselves, or just like
I mean,
abusing things.
for essentially exploiting the alpha for personal gain later or ignoring directives when asked not to do something.
So, uh, just by the fact that we paid $500, I don't think it should be like that hard as like a permaban. I do think
Mhm.
like a 1 or 2 day suspension should be good. While they
I
can actually work on that. The thing with not reporting issues, I feel like it's a little bit harder because like I don't know, people should be breaking the game right now. Like we should be
yeah,
finding exploits and using them to
but
be
it
like,
should
yo,
be
this fucked up.
public knowledge and reported and
Yeah, like I saw
Yeah.
someone. I'm not gonna say who because I remember, but I'm not gonna say because why. I don't know if you guys went to Nala. There's like a cave with the rock monster.
Mhm.
Remember that cave? There was
Standing
this
on a
person
pillar.
like standing on the mushroom, just attacking everything and just grinding without the mobs being able to. I don't think that's been reported. I reported it, right? But we need people doing these kinds of things, right?
Mhm.
So if Steven says like, "Yo, I'm gonna like do this," don't I'm gonna activate PvP. Don't spawn camp, and people are still spawn camping. I should be like I would kick them for a day at least, like
I
banhammer for a
Yeah.
day. Fuck
What
you.
I would
Because I
say
know it's for live.
is for that kind of thing, I would say full ban hammer, but full refund as well. Just say,
Well,
hey,
yeah.
here, like
Sure.
you guys are like, we asked for testers. This is not a playable game. This is not for you to min max and come out on top at some point.
Yeah.
This is for you guys to help us, make this game great. And this is what we want out of our testers.
Exactly.
You have not provided us with what we're asking, and we will so we will refund your money. If you would like to come back in, you are welcome to repurchase, but please understand the philosophy behind this and come back in with promoting the community as a whole to actually make this game great rather than just abuse some system.
I agree.
Yeah, and
So
I agree with that.
breaking, sorry, just breaking it down to the beginning of it. Once the bug was found, first of all, whatever group was trying to do that, I I hope it was a joke, and if it wasn't, then you guys are literally not understanding what the purpose of testing is. Now that
Yeah.
I've said that, these kinds of things are going to come up in alpha. These types of things are going to come up in beta. And hey, guess what? These kinds of things are going to come up in a live fucking game.
Yeah.
And so the moment we'll just talk about in the testing space here, because obviously live game, you have terms and conditions. That is usually a bannable offense in most games. Is that if it's an exploit that gives you any kind of um, advantage over another player. If it is an exploit like that, that's an exploit. A bug is just like, oh hey, I fell through the wall, or like that's just a bug. But within testing, I would have liked Steven to come out and say, hey, we know this is a thing. What we want to do is we want to get everybody over there, and we want everybody to get the speed bug, and we're all going to run around the map together, and we're going to see if we can't just find some other shit going on, because now we're all moving at 3,000 times speed. Like, I would rather them look at it as an opportunity for further testing rather than coming in and saying, hey, please don't do this. Now, regardless of that, once the message goes out saying, please do not do this, at that point, it's done. You need to stop at that point, because basically what Steven has said is at that point is we are not getting anything beneficial from this existing within the game. It is clearly an exploit, or it is clearly a bug that you guys have turned into an exploit. So we're going to leave it alone, and the next build is not going to have it in it. Fair enough. Sounds good, Steven. We won't do it. And that needs to be the general approach when it comes to testing. Taking that, I mean, again, for me, I actually kind of wish he would have come out and said, hey, we know this is a thing. We don't need you guys to report it anymore. It's going to get patched in the next build. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's see, because we actually even had somebody in Virtue who was able to find an additional bug because they were able to run around and speed boost across the entire map and jump to places that they shouldn't have been able to jump to. So I think, I mean, that's what the alpha is. You find the rabbit hole, and you see how far down it you can go, and how many things you can break on the way down and on the way back up.
But is that good at the expense of, like, let's say the server's taking too much of a load, right? I mean, this was a non-NDA alpha. So if the server's taking too much of a load with all this speed coming around, and they can see that the server is taking so many packets that there's going to be a memory leak and an inevitable crash while these servers are supposed to be live, do you in that case, we're trying to stop it. We're trying to ask people not to do it so the server doesn't crash, which is going to be a bad look. It's going to actually hurt. If streamers are showing this and the server goes down, there is an actual metric of dollars and cents that they've lost, because a percentage of those people will be turned off by this game, not understanding that it is an alpha, no matter how many times you tell them.
So going into like the ban side of it, I'm on the standpoint of 1 day, 2 day bans in a testing cycle is a fucking, it's not even a slap on the wrist. It's a side.
I agree with that.
It's a side glare.
It's nothing.
They need to be gone. They need to be gone. If they are not helping you test your game, they need to be gone. I would argue and say that they shouldn't even get a refund, because they broke what they are supposed to.
As long as we signed something,
there's no terms in service right now, though. Then that's the issue.
So and so maybe what they need to do is implement a terms of service. That way, when they do drop the ban hammer, it's hey, you signed.
You signed on this,
clear communication.
Yep.
I was gonna say, we're basically winding down. Xetnal, I'll let you have your last thoughts, and then we'll kind of wind down and do our outro.
I know. I just want to say that I feel like Ashes of Creation is on a great foundation right now. Especially, like, it's super playable, it's super fun. I'm a little bit nervous of how they're gonna like implement several different things. And I'm also at the same time super excited. I just want, like, I cannot wait to play tomorrow and the day after. Like, I wish the testing was gonna be like, I thought it was gonna be for the month long. That's fine. It is what it is. I just hope that these 3 days that they have it down they're just gonna like work a lot on the game, just gonna implement a lot of things, fix lots of things. I just want to go to Alpha 2 right now. I'm anxious. I thought the hype was gonna die down with me on Ashes, like with this Alpha being open and shit. And no, the actual hype on me and my community has gone super up, dude. Like way up. And that's a good thing, right? They haven't spent like a dime on marketing, which is great. And it's one of the reasons like New World is so big right now. It's because they have all the money in the world and they can just like work on the marketing and everything. Ashes haven't had anything of that, and it's super, super well known for everybody that knows the MMO genre. That's why I'm nervous. Like, are they gonna do it right or not? And I'll be there. I'll be here probably like talking to you, maybe not on the podcast, maybe on the chat or whatever. Just like waiting, expecting, and talking with you guys about this, and hopefully, like, because I'm pretty sure the devs like at Intrepid actually watch this type of podcast.
They're champion workers.
Really yeah, they're really great at that, and I think these instances are super important and super good and like super helpful for the community of the MMO. And Ashes has got a great community working for the game, like you guys, like Paradox, like Simmer. There's a lot of like dedicated content creators that are really worried about making like a great game. And I'm just happy about it. I'm super happy about being part of it. I hope that I can bring the Latin American community like more light of Ashes of Creation. And I hope eventually that leads on Intrepid being like, you know, I'm gonna release a Latin American server on Chile, not in Brazil, for fuck's sake. And we're gonna have a good time. So yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and do our usual outros? For anyone just tuning in now, go check us out. This show, Two Guys and a Bard, has its own YouTube channel. We get episodes posted up basically weekly, as well as clips. So we try to do like 5 to 15-minute clips per episode. We're a little behind on those, but we are getting the episodes up fairly regularly, at least. We'll get clips out soon. So go check that out. Drop it a subscribe. Why don't we do Xetnal? Where can we find you?
So you guys can find me on Twitch at Xetnal with a Z or Xetnal with an X. You can find me on TikTok with an X. You just put Xetnal on Google and you'll find me everywhere, guys. By the way, for the Chileans on chat that are being like saying, yeah, who's the Chilean? Buena conchetumare. That's it. And you can find me everywhere at Xetnal or Xetnal with an X or with a Z.
All right. Well, Fane, where can we find you?
Guys, you know me. It's super easy. It's Fane.com. All of my social links. We'll be streaming a lot of Ashes of Creation. Got a bunch more videos coming out. We've gotten great responses so far. I'll see you guys on Twitch.
All right, and Super.
Super TCG here on Twitch. Right now, I mean, as I've explained last week, I'm kind of full-time single dad in it right now while Super Wife is deployed. So not doing too much streaming, but still trying to do the PokeFan Friday every Friday. Open up some Pokemon packs. Gonna open up some Shining Fate, some battle styles. Hopefully clear out the rest of my battle styles. And hopefully in the coming weeks have Bard back on for another pack battle here in the future. So
definitely. And then obviously you guys are on my channel. I got a YouTube channel. I haven't posted a video in 5 days. Which
you shout out my wife?
Yes, because she's doing the real work. Super.
The real work.
Yes, Super Wife from across the seas. But yeah, definitely check it all out. I'll be streaming a decent amount of New World and Ashes coming up. We'll have some new videos comparing New World and Ashes and all of that. What we are going to do is, as we usually do, we hop into my Discord, into a public channel. So we spend about 5 minutes after the show doing our own debrief in the private channel, and then we will hop up, and we encourage all of you to come hang out. Just a chance to chat, talk. I'm going to be hopping into New World and playing while we talk, of course, because the addiction is real. But we definitely encourage all of you guys to come. As we have said, we don't always engage chat. We try to either work questions into the conversation naturally or address you through the chat itself, just so we can keep the flow going and all of that. And it makes it better for podcasts and YouTube content. So this is your chance to come join us for some conversations, ask us whatever you thought was interesting and all of that. we are going to toss a raid out to Cali Gold, who is an MMO streamer. He was streaming a bunch of Ashes Creation earlier. He's in New World right now, but go throw him some love. Oops, that needs to be a slash. Yeah, let him know where you're coming from. Give him a little love. Support this awesome community. He's been streaming Ashes and promoting the product, and that's what we want to support as well. So show him a little support. Anyone else have anything to say?
Thank you so much for having me here, guys.
I was going to say thank you for coming on, Xetnal. When we were shut up, Fane. When we were go grow a beard. When we were talking about who we should have on, you were like literally the first name that popped into my head. I'm like, we got to have Xetnal on. So I appreciate you coming on, man. It was good having you.
Well, anytime. I love being here. You guys are great. I love this community that you guys are growing. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, bro.
All right, Fane.
One real quick
Shut up, Fane.
Yes. Yes.
I promised I would do this. For those that don't know, the last time that we did this podcast, we were complained about patch notes. We wanted patch notes. Intrepid gave us patch notes. We think Intrepid is listening. I did promise one member of the Axiom community that I would say, Steven, please get rid of the Ranger in the game. Thank you so much.
All right. Raid going out. Show him some love. We'll see you in Discord soon.